Well, meanwhile, Russia is once again threatening to block the renewal of a deal that allows Ukraine to export grain across the Black Sea. The Black Sea Grain Initiative, which was agreed last year, allows Ukraine to export foodstuffs through a safe corridor. Well, for more on the impact that this might have on global food supplies and prices, I'm joined on the set by our international affairs editor, Philip Turle. Philip, then, how important is this grain deal?
Very important, and it was signed principally to bring down the cost of the sale of grain on the world market, which shot up at the beginning of the war in Ukraine, because Ukraine is one of the world's greatest bread baskets. If you look at the flag, which is blue and yellow, the yellow is to signify all the grain growing in fields across the country. Now, this deal was to bring all of this grain out of Ukraine via 3 ports down across the Black Sea, through the Bosphorus Strait and into the Mediterranean, so that it can be shipped off to other countries in Africa and also to the Middle East, where there are large needs for grain supplies and big fears that those grain supplies were going to be cut off once the war started, and those fears are being rekindled now with the threat that the accord may not be renewed later this month. Just to give you some figures, Angela, 47 million people were estimated to be suffering from hunger because of the world's soaring food costs back in 2022. This is because of these figures here. Sunflower oil, 46% of the world's percentage production, 70% of barley, 12% of maize, and 9% of wheat. All of that was put in jeopardy by the fact that there was no agreement, which is why the Black Sea Grain Initiative was eventually worked out under the auspices of Turkey. It started back in July last year, agreed by Ukraine, Russia, Turkey, and the United Nations. It's due to expire on July the 17th. That's why there is so much worry about what is going to happen afterwards. Just to give you some other figures, 950 voyages have taken place since then by ships out of Ukraine to bring that grain out of the country. 30 million tons of grain have been exported from Ukraine to more than 40 different countries. All of that looks like it could be called into question now.
And why is Russia threatening to pull out?
Well, there are several reasons. One of the main reasons is that Russia says its market is being undercut by the grain initiative. It says that it produces its own grain. The fact that there are no custom checks on this grain coming out of Ukraine, the fact that they don't have to pay duty on it as well when it is exported, means that Russian grain can't compete. So they say it's unfair competition, basically, as far as their own farmers are concerned. It's undercutting the domestic market in Russia. Second point is that the agricultural sector has been impacted by Western sanctions in Russia, and they say until those sanctions are lifted by the West, then they're not going to want to renew that grain accord, because they say we need to get those sanctions lifted. It's causing big problems for lots of farmers in Russia. So until those sanctions go, no renewal of the grain accord. And there's another reason, which is it's blaming Russia, Ukraine, for having bombed a pipeline which is fundamental to exporting ammonia, which is one of the key components of fertilizer, ammonia, which is being exported as far as Odessa, saying that because Ukraine has bombed that pipeline from Russia, that ammonia can no longer be exported. That is also causing a big problem for the producers of Russia. And at the same time, they say that the grain that's been exported to the West isn't actually getting to those countries that most need it: Ethiopia, Yemen, Afghanistan, Sudan, Somalia. It's staying in the rich countries. And Russia says the rich nations are taking advantage of Ukrainian grain, and that's something that they're not willing to put up with.